TMNT fans, it's time for you to flood Reddit with theories and reviews because IDW Publishing has launched Shredder #1 on the 27th of August. We know him as the archenemy of our beloved Teenage Ninjas, and he was first introduced in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 way back in May 1984. Ever since, he's been a perpetual thorn in the side of the Turtles, and fans have pointed out that his character is one of the reasons why the comic is actually so popular. Because, let's face it, a good story is made by an impressive villain more than an impressive hero. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder #1, we see Shredder from a different perspective. What does he do when he doesn't have the Turtles to fight or the Foot Clan to look over? This video will contain spoilers, so if you'd rather find out for yourself, come back and let us know in the comments what you think. For the rest of us, we're going to dive into the storyline and explore the origins of the Shredder. Before we get into this exploration though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Storyline explained. Shredder's Past. Written by Dan Waters of Batman Dark Patterns and Nightwing, and illustrated by Michelle Bandini, Shredder #1 opens with a typical evening in New York. A garbage truck is parked outside a building, only it's no ordinary truck. Agent Young performs a customary surveillance on the street while grumbling about having to spend time in what he calls the armpit of downtown Brooklyn when he could have instead been stationed at a beach in Barbados. His partner tells him that the work they're doing is important and the fate of the world possibly hinges on it. However, Young simply says that it would have been an easier job to save Barbados instead. Just then, an old man in a hood appears next to the truck, blocking one of the cameras. Young is asked to remove him so that they can monitor the feed properly, and when he asks the mysterious old man what he's trying to do, the latter simply says he's going back home. Agent Young doesn't understand, but expresses relief that the man is leaving. Even that is short-lived as they realize the old man is heading inside the very building they've been tasked with observing. Young says that the man is possibly senile and has no idea where he's going or what he might get involved in. For an old man in tattered clothing, he certainly appears strong as he busts through a door and carries a long piece of broken splinter. Once inside, he's immediately attacked by two masked men armed with swords. However, he doesn't sweat the slightest and only appears mildly irritated. Using the splinter in his hand, he easily disarms them both and then screams at them for being nothing but bags of worms. He demands to know what they're doing at his house, picks up one of their blades and examines it, while other masked people come up to him and rebuke him for coming inside without permission, calling the building a sacred place. They shoot arrows at him, which he manages to dodge, except one that lodges in his shoulder. Worms appear in his vision once again, and he remarks that there are no sacred places. While the people aim at him once more, the old man steadies himself and manages to throw them out the window. Unfortunately, they land right on top of the surveillance van. Young and his partner decide to call in the higher-ups, saying that the mission is no longer an observe and report anymore. Meanwhile, the old man continues to go up the stairs and is finally met with a group of armed people in a large room. Some are holding blades, some are armed with bows and arrows, and others have bow staffs. He says that the blade in his hand has not been sharpened, and had the wielders respected their weapons more, their deaths would have been easier and more honorable. He manages to strike almost everyone down, but is suddenly struck by 3 throwing stars to the back. When he slashes the last person, he's greeted by a young woman who says she believed the place was abandoned and with the rest of the group had filled it with love and light. She also says the old man is supposed to be dead, but he replies that what he's been through was worse than the pain of being tortured in hell. The lady agrees, saying that she has gifts that allow her to see where the old man is from and how far he's traveled, as well as how much that journey cost him. He then offers him to rest with them, saying that he will be protected. However, the man engages her, but she quickly disarms him and strikes him on the head, making him fall to the ground. She then says the old man probably doesn't remember her, but she used to serve under him when she was little. He had once corrected her elbow positioning and training, which was a cherished memory for her. She had worshipped him as an idol, akin to a god, but he did nothing to repay that worship, and now he was nothing but worm-riddled meat. But then, men armed with guns stormed in through a window. The woman manages to escape, and the bodies of the masked people are also nowhere to be found. The old man is apprehended and taken into custody. At Darkwater HQ, Colonel Knight questions Agent Young for messing up the surveillance job. The terrorist death cult they were observing was in the wind, and they knew they were being watched. Young simply replies that the strange old man was the one behind it all. He had killed them and had refused to answer anything. He was just muttering stuff about bugs in Japanese and English. Agent Alda Avon then enters the room and says that the old man was no commoner, and he was certainly not being held there against his will. He could have escaped if he wanted to. She then addresses him as Oroku Saki, and the reader readers realize this old man is none other than the Shredder himself. She introduces herself and then pulls a picture of the woman from the building who goes by the name Rhea, and more recently, the Mourner. Apparently, Rhea had been gathering exotic components to build some sort of extra-dimensional bomb, which Darkwater obviously wants to stop. Avon says that Rhea wears Shredder's old symbol, inverted, and was once a member of his Foot Clan back when he himself was at the top of Interpol's most wanted list. He still is on it for numerous crimes like murder, extortion, organized crime, and some other jobs that require specific legislation to even be classified. However, Shredder had disappeared mysteriously right when the city was ripe for the taking, and everyone assumed that he had died. But when he walked into his old hideout after years, where the priests had built their base, he had destroyed months worth of interagency recon. So all those agencies would love it if he were to be locked up for the rest of his life, but they need him to learn more about the Mourner. Shredder agrees and says that they need to know why she wears the foot symbol in an inverted manner, why she's building the bomb, and how she's even getting all of these components together. But he says that they must offer him something in exchange for his help, and he doesn't particularly care about his freedom or have enough of a conscience to worry about his civic duty. Avon then says that the Mourner is his pupil, and she's debasing his legacy. She defeated him easily in single combat and was trying to ruin his legacy. If she succeeds in her mission, it would completely eclipse Shredder's honor and name. Agent Avon tries to appeal to the Shredder by saying that she's studied him extensively. He had done things that could not be explained by logic or science. He was the betrayer of his clan and the consort of a goddess, and now he was in New York after having disappeared for years. Avon asks him what his purpose is, and Shredder simply replies that he wants to take a bath. In the shower, he's plagued by images of worms crawling all over. He shaves his overgrown, bushy hair and beard to a neat trim and gets ready in the clothes provided by the lab. He is then shown an exosuit made using parts of his own armor, which were confiscated during earlier raids of the Foot Clan over the years. Avon describes the specializations like strength enhancement, high velocity fire, and impact absorption. Shredder appears less than pleased and says that people have an insatiable need to worship gods, if not ones from myth, then the technological prowess they consider infallible. He takes apart some parts of the armor and only puts on the helmet, shoulder guards, and gloves. He denounces technology and magic as weapons and says that on the battlefield, what decides victory and defeat are flesh and blood and the cold touch of a blade. Reactions to the issue. Fans have remarked how strikingly minimalistic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder number 1 has been. Not only is Saki himself shown to be a man of few words, but the issue itself focuses more on imagery than actual dialogue from characters. There's nothing drawn out about it, and the pace is perfect. Whether it's with Shredder going back to his hideout and assassinating the priests, being interrogated by agents, or rejecting the gaudy armor they provided and going with his trusty hand blades and spiked helmet, the readers get a desire to understand what exactly is driving the man, and the disturbing imagery of worms that Bandini shows throughout the comic hints at something darker. While his work on Immortal X-Men and Miles Morales' Spider-Man has been notable, his rendition of Shredder is absolutely on point. It might not be as aesthetic or awe-striking, but it does the job of being clean and to the point, much like the rest of the chapter. Some of Saki's dialogue is pure aura farming, especially when he talks about the priests not respecting their blades enough. Overall, there was nothing much in the issue except just setting the stage for what's coming soon, but in some ways, it does a good job at getting readers hooked. The involvement with the government sounds tricky because fans believe Shredder isn't the type to take orders, but when the agents brought up the issue of honor, he had to take a stand. The worms have also evoked a lot of questions from some fans who have expressed some disappointment at the issue not being a few pages longer. Marvelous verdict. We expect thrilling things from this comic, especially with Dan Watters at the helm. Shredder has been portrayed as a stripped-down and gritty character with no added flair for the dramatic. He has his eyes set on something and won't hesitate to take down his former pupil to get it. However, finishing the Mourner doesn't really appear to be his primary aim, or like a side quest. So, what is the Shredder really looking for back in New York? He's well aware that the government wants him gone, so will he find a way to double-cross them after dealing with the Mourner? As IDW continues to explore the TMNT universe, Shredder's comic is a good starting point to gather more readers. Let us know what you thought of this issue down in the comments. What do you think the Mourner's real objective is, and why was she able to take down Shredder in their one-on-one? Also, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.